she here? Oh, there we go. Perfect.
It should be recording now, but I don't know if it records the chatter.
And I think you should be able to screen share too, and we're ready to go.
All right. And I saw that Jessabel, you and Seema both applied, and we have some more applications also from San Jose State already, and it just feels great to see all the interest in it. I was planning to do a bit of a presentation, but I've just come out of a meeting where we were talking about the different projects, and I think I will just talk for some time to give you the essence of the program. And when we are dealing with questions and all, feel free to ask specific questions, whether it is about the pathways or whether it is about the particular roles and everything. So I am involved in the project definitions for each one of the pathways. I can answer any questions you have over there. But before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about what we are trying to do at STEMAway and give you what exactly are these virtual internships. So let me just talk a little bit about that. Seema and Jessabel, if you keep it, like when I start talking about this, sometimes I get carried away. Feel free to just whatever is the polite equivalent of enough already. Just so that we have more time to go into logistics and any specific questions that people have. So what STEMAway is about is we are trying to create opportunities at scale for students who are interested in STEM careers. And we're focusing on internships as the way to go forward on that. And these internships, these are not client projects. That's the first thing I want to let people know. So even though you probably saw, if you've been on the platform, you have seen the names AWS, Xilinx. What that means is they are involved in our projects. These projects are built around company tools and technologies. So for example, AWS has given us credits so that we can build a platform like in bioinformatics, in machine learning, and full stack. We have a cloud computing component or a full stack, like you deploy the code. That's where the AWS part comes in. Or if you're interested in hardware engineering, Xilinx is giving us the boards, giving us the entire tools that is necessary to build a project around those boards. But that's how the companies are involved. The projects itself are coming from STEMAway. So what are we doing in this project? The first thing, and this is the discussion that we just had, I was meeting with our mentors, is every project is defined so that we are giving you a mix of, I call it like two narratives that go in. One is the scientific narrative, one is the product narrative. So my own background is in tech, and the times that where I really learned and I went several steps ahead is when I had a mix of the two narratives. So what do we mean by that? The scientific narrative is something which you see a lot in your academic environment. So you're working on learning the latest technologies, or you're working on learning a new concept. That is where the scientific narrative comes in. And STEMAway has that. So, and we encourage people to try out things which you are not familiar with before. We have the pathway hubs. You can do a little bit of training, but you are learning things. So there is the scientific narrative. But what is unique about STEMAway is that we're also giving you the product narrative, making you quote unquote work ready. So that's where it's not enough to really know a machine learning algorithm. You need to know how is it applied in an industry? How is it applied in real life? The thing about machine learning is almost you spend all your time on the data collection rather than writing models. So these are some of the things that you will get to know when you're working in these projects. Is in full stack, you'll be working with an open source code base, which is very different, believe me, from working with any kind of program that you've done before. Is the whole challenge of even understanding where to begin when you're working with a code base that is of that size. So that is what we call like the product narrative. And each one of these projects, when we are working with the mentors and we are kind of defining the projects, is we are bringing in aspects of both of these. So coming out of this program, we want you to learn your technical skills a little bit more than what you know today, maybe a lot more based on what you picked, but you're also learning how to get ready for industry, which is It's on the technical side also, like how do you make decisions, technical decisions in a work setting, and it's also learning how to work in a team setting. So you're not going to be doing individual projects. Each one of these projects are team-based, and that's where the mentor chain structure comes in. So the next difference is in the STEMAway projects is this mentor chain structure, where if you have applied for a lead position, what is going to happen is the STEMAway experts, like the domain experts, they're going to directly mentor the leads. And the leads in turn are going to lead teams of 10 to 15. So this is exactly like what the name suggests, is like this chain of mentors. And what this gives is a great opportunity for you guys to build leadership skills. So if you already have some technical skills and you want to push yourself, everything in STEMAway is about pushing your boundaries. So you should pick something that you're not fully comfortable with. You're pushing something where you want to like just make it something that you're not comfortable with today, something new. So maybe if you already have some technical experience, you can you push yourself on the leadership side and pick one of these roles. The lead roles, I'll just talk a little bit about these roles. They're almost like the critical link in this whole chain. So all the leads from last time, they had what I would call a transformative experience. Like it's not, even when you enter industry, it's not until you're like 5 to 6 years into the industry that you actually get a chance to lead a team of 10 to 15. So we had some people, when the leads were presenting, one of the comments was that you guys have had the experience of someone who has been in industry for 10 years. And when you go ahead and you're applying for either a job or an internship based on what stage you are in, this kind of leadership experience will really help you, not just in your interview to get a job, but in your career per se. So, and one more reason why we talked about the two narratives, we talked about the leadership roles and the mentor chains. Another way that the STEMAway experience is very different, and why we didn't pick it to be like client projects, but our own projects, is you're going to work on every aspect of the project. So even if you're doing an internship at like a very well-renowned place, you most probably be working on a small aspect. So some aspect of the program, or if you're in a software field, or if you're in a hardware field, like working on one aspect of the hardware, things like that. The way we are designing our projects is you get to do everything. So the leads are the ones who are taking the decision, but you're involving your whole team in those decisions. It's in the project definition itself. You have a lot of choices. We are always there helping you in the background, but you are the ones making the decisions, like when you're forming your projects. And at every stage, as you're executing, almost all the teams decide to pick the agile environment, where you're kind of doing it. Every week is an independent week in itself, and you're based on what is happening that week, you're deciding what to do on the next week. You have an overall goal, but you're constantly iterating based on how your team is performing. So that is something that the project management leads are really working on. So if you participate in these programs, you are going to get an experience of every different kind of decision that is involved in industry when you're working in these kind of projects. And one of the last things that I wanted to mention about these projects is the showcasing part. So whatever you're doing, our goal is, we use a lot of open source communities in each one of our projects. And the goal there is the showcasing. So once you do something, if you can contribute to an open source community, that's like a huge thing on your resumes going forward. The big challenge as a student is how to show that you have done something. And one very good way of doing that is if you can show that you have done some contribution to open source communities. It's not very simple. Obviously, like there are experts going in there. So we are also going to be forming our own repository of open source projects that you guys come up with. So if you can make it to one of the established open source communities, like full kudos to you. But even if not, we have done it in a way that you should be able to do something that you can put into our repo so that you can point back and say that you have done this work. which is extremely useful when for companies when they're coming and looking at what you have done. If you can see the proof of what you have done. You can obviously have your own GitHub repo, but there is, we don't know very well, like now I'm talking about if I were in a tech company trying to hire someone, I don't exactly know whether that GitHub code was done by you and in what context it was done. But if you're doing it as one of the STEMAway virtual internships, that entire context is there and it's kind of signed off by your team leads. So that is how the showcasing part of it is done. So this was a bit of introduction about what we are trying to do about why the virtual internships. We are a for-profit business. It's totally free for our students and colleges. Our revenue model is from companies. So after the virtual internships, we are going to have demo days. If you're familiar with demo days, this is what we are doing in STEMAway is a bit of a cross between a demo day and a career fair. So in a career fair, you typically go look at companies and it's not so interactive. Over here, you're going to be presenting your work so companies can come in and they can attend whichever talk they want to attend. And if they want to set up an interview with you, then and there we organize that so that while that interview is in the context of the work you have done on STEMAway. So we are essentially creating the virtual internships. The companies can kind of treat it as an extended job interview. So instead of having that 1 hour to see what you have achieved, they can really see what you've achieved during the whole internship. So that is kind of our, just a little bit peek into what our revenue model is and how we are involving companies in it. And this is important for you because obviously as a student, one of the big things that you are looking for is a job and success in your careers. So this is all, it's a virtual internship platform, but it is this virtual internship is one part of the platform. It's a full career hub with an integrated hiring portal. And we also have this one kind of very cool tool, which we call the one-click resume, which we're going to, for people who join, we'll show you the details about how that works and why it is easier for companies to get a feel for who you are as a candidate. Especially for students, that's a bit of a problem because at my level, if in my resume, I write just 3 lines about what I did in my tech life, anyone in my field can immediately know where I stand. But that's really difficult for students. So that's the part that we are tackling on STEMAway. That's a business problem that we are addressing, is how do companies figure out which are the right candidates for their program. And so instead of just looking at academic pedigree, which is pretty much what is done today, they will have a way to really figure out who is the best fit for the different openings that they have. So any questions about what I just said? Wanted to just give you a feel for what it is. We want to really push you on your limits. For me, the personal satisfaction I get is I really believe in students. I believe that given the opportunities, you guys can do amazing work. So all the projects are designed in a way that you're pushing your boundaries continuously and you're coming up with some things that are the end product of what you're coming up with is what we hope will take you several steps ahead on your STEM journeys.
Yeah, this is really exciting stuff. When I first heard about it, I was definitely excited. So I think, do we have some time for questions? So I think the first questions we can ask are the ones that were filled out in the form, and then we can open it up to everybody. So I think, let me pull it up. Okay. I think one of the questions, we can start off with the first one. It says, if you already have other commitments or internships confirmed, but still want to contribute to STEMAway projects, since people find these projects super interesting and they don't want to miss out, can they take on part-time roles or possibly, if there are other people in the same boat, make their own projects so they can work in their own pace? I think the question to summarize is it open for students that have internships already?
So we don't ask for a formal commitment. It's how much you can afford to do. If you're in a lead position, then I would not recommend it at all because it's just not, it's quite a bit of work for the leads. As a participant, if you want to try out a new thing, one thing, if you don't have enough time, I would highly recommend is go through some of the self-paced learning that we have so that you're not coming in totally cold, because then it would be difficult to do if you don't have much time. If you do have enough time, if you have made enough preparation going in, it may be still possible. So it is really your decision. Look at the project, look at what is going to be done. And there's a whole lot of information out there on the Pathway Hubs. You can get a glimpse of it. It's still working in a team is a different experience from those self-learning things. So those is self-learning modules are to help you get ready. But when you work in a team, sometimes your team may be really, really motivated, and then you might have an issue if you're not able to keep up. We did have I would say almost 50% of the teams last time, it was not just 100%, it was like 200%. We give you all the tools you need, we give you all the mentoring you need. So it's a huge opportunity, and some of the teams really ran with it. They exceeded our expectations for sure, but I think the best summary was one of the leads said we exceeded our own expectations. So it's a bit of a subjective question. It's not like a yes, no answer. From our side, we don't ask you for a formal commitment, but we do ask you to make sure that you have enough time for it to be a good experience for you and for your team, of course.
Yeah, I think that answers the question pretty well. Jezebel, do you want to go ahead and ask the next question?
Our next question is, do you have to be a STEM major to apply?
No, that is not necessary at all. So especially in UX, we had a lot of people last time who were not STEM majors. If you are new to the whatever pathway you've chosen, even if you're a STEM major, we do ask you to look at the Pathway Hubs and so that you're able to hit the ground running. It's an 8-week program, so there's not too much time to really spend on training. So all the training is being done beforehand. And if you need extra help before, we can run additional training. We can do anything that you need to get ready. But once you're working with your team, you have to keep pace with your team, which means that if you've chosen, let's say, machine learning, but you don't know programming, that will not work. You have to learn the Python basics before you come, even if it's a level 1 project. So again, when we are selecting people, we are not looking at your past background. We are looking at whether you're saying that you'll put in the effort to be prepared for the internship. We're looking at the passion that you have to learn that field. And there's a lot of diversity. Last time we had even people in industry, there were people who had taken a break to, there was a lady who had taken a 15-year break to take care of her kids. And she joined the UX, and then she liked it so much, she joined the full stack as well. So there were student leads who were really mentoring someone who was like double their age. So age diversity, STEM major diversity education, we have people from all over the world right now. Last summer, it just went viral. So again, to answer in short your question, it is not restricted to STEM majors.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that actually answers our other question too, which kind of goes into being a mentor chain lead if you are a different major. So I'm guessing it's open to everyone regardless of major, right? Even the lead positions. Even the lead position, as long as you are certain you can bring it up, especially if you're applying for a project management lead, then it doesn't matter so much. Maybe even the technical lead is the one where you do have to have some of the technical knowledge. You have to understand the mentoring that you're getting from the STEMAway experts. So that's why it is necessary to have the technical background. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think another question is I think you answered it again, but do we have visa restrictions for these internships? Because there are international students who are interested and they're wondering if it requires the use of a CPT, which I'm not sure what that is, but. Yeah, I actually know CPT because last time some of the people had asked me for letters. It's an educational internship. You don't need it per se. But if you do need something, like sometimes you need something in order to maintain your visa status, it does apply. You can use the offer letter we give you, which will have all the necessary information that you need in order to, if you have some
requirement that you have to work some amount of hours, that is there. It is covered over there.
Got it.
Okay, our next question is, what are the requirements to get accepted for the virtual internship?
So we have started looking at the leads first. We start from there. It's kind of the number of leads we have restricts the number of teams we have. I saw quite a few lead applicants from San Jose, and I'm looking forward to talking to you guys. The thing is, we're trying to accommodate as many people as possible. It may not be obviously possible. So if you wanted to get an like definitely we considered, we say that if you look at the pathway hubs and you fill in a self-assessment, you're definitely in. If you don't, you are still college students. So if you have the required background, we will consider you as long as we have the space.
Perfect. I think that's all the questions on the form. Am I missing anything, Jezebel?
So I guess we can open the floor to the audience. If you guys have any questions, you can raise your hands and unmute yourselves, or you can type it in the chat. And we can
So it's open to anybody else who has any specific questions, comments, concerns, anything.
While we are waiting for questions, one thing I wanted to mention is we have this concept of colleges in our academic network. And even though you guys have come in at the club level and not at the career center level, which is how we do the partnerships, if we have like 20 plus people from 20 or 25, don't quite remember the number, from a particular university, we'll have like special, when we do the demo days, we'll have like a San Jose State specific demo day as well. So if we do have enough people, and right now we already have quite a few applicants, if we do cross that mark, we will definitely do that for you guys, even though you're coming in at the club level. For us, it doesn't really matter. It helps us when there are groups of people from a particular university, because you kind of know each other. And for us, we know that you are from a particular university. We get a lot of applicants coming in directly through social media. So it's a bit difficult for us to know what is the level of them coming in. And that is the issue we are trying to solve for companies, but it's an issue we face ourselves. So we do look at which college you're coming from when we make those decisions. We like to have a bit of clustering. So right now, the clusters that we have are NYU, Rochester, Virginia, Cornell, and CMU. They're all coming as groups because 3 of them are through career centers and 2 are through professors who spread the word, and hoping that in San Jose State also that you come in as a group. It would be great for us to have a little bit more of a formal relationship rather than all of you coming in as individuals.
I think we have a question in the chat.
Okay, so Ken is asking, yes. The offer letter that I was saying is, it tells you if it is an unpaid internship, you don't require a CPT. That's what I was saying. It's an educational internship, so it's really no work authorization needed at all. However, if it's not CPT, but some people last time had some visa requirement, I'm not exactly sure what it was, but they had to show that they were working in order to maintain their visa status, and they used the offer letter to do that. If that is the case with any of you, one thing that we do request is before we send out the offer letter, there is a sample on the platform. You can look at it and see if it meets your requirements. We essentially say, what is your role? How many expected hours per week? It's not a formal commitment, so it's written that we expect, I think it's like expecting 20 hours per week is what we put in there, which is pretty much what the visa status requires, which is at least part-time. Again, it's not needed, but if for some people also got some stipends or something based on their participation. So all of that, the offer letter should be sufficient is what I'm saying. At the scale that we're doing it this summer, it's not going to be possible to come address individual requests. So anything that if you're applying, if you have any request, something that you need earlier, it would be great if you can say before we send out the offer letters rather than after. It's just last time we did do a whole lot of customizations, but I think this summer we may not be able to do just because we are growing almost 10x this time.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I think even Nanar is raising her hand. She has a question.
Okay.
Hello, my name's Nanar. I had a quick question about the admittance process. I know there's an application, which I'm gonna fill out right after this, but is there some sort of coding challenge or interview, or what does the admittance process look like after you fill out the application?
For the lead positions, we do talk to them. I call it chats more than interviews. It's I need to know that you are committed, that you're passionate about it. The lead, if a lead drops out, it's we do have like extra people that we can bring in, like industry people to help out if a lead drops out, but it does cause a lot of issue for us. Statistics wise, last time was a huge success. There were only 2 teams in which the leads, for whatever reason, didn't quite, it's not easy to suddenly go from where you are to become a lead of 10 people. So there can be issues, and we helped on every front, but still like 2 teams, the leads didn't quite make it. So we brought in other people. So for that, either it would be me personally, or it would be one of the mentors of the pathway that you've applied for the lead positions. There would be a chat. For the applicants, there is no interview process. So we are looking at what you've applied for, what your background is. There is a quiz there for you to assess yourself, like what your skill is coming into the project. We particularly put it there so that you can make a good judgment. These questions are very specific to the projects that will be done. But we are not looking at the score when we do a yes or a no. If there are too many people, then we look at whether you've done a self-assessment. So the order in which we're accepting is anyone who from our alumni is already accepted, that is guaranteed. And there are a lot of people who are reapplying. If you have been active on the pathway hubs, like if you have even one self-assessment in, that also gives you a high priority. So these are the 2 that we are giving high priority to. And then we are pretty much just trying to accommodate as many people as possible.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I have a question that kind of came to me just now.
Sure.
And that question is, so is this opportunity open throughout the year or just summer specifically?
So there have been some universities who have reached out to us. They want us to do this throughout the year as a capstone project. If you've heard the word, either capstone project or experiential learning, some universities call it one, some call it the other. So last time NYU, for example, they got such a fantastic feedback from all their students. They've taken it to the next level. Right now we have NYU students participating, not in the projects because we haven't really expanded that way. Right now they're shadowing my team itself. So some of them are with my marketing person, some are with some other teams. In future, we are planning to open it, make this a year-round project. It'll also give students a chance to do a vertical building. So I was talking about the STEMAway report, right? So whatever work you've done is still sitting there. So you can come in and pick it up from there and just run with it. That would have to be through your career center because you get the academic credits for it.
Okay.
By the way, some of the colleges are giving academic credit for the summer program also. If there is interest in your site, if you connect me to whoever is in charge of the decision, I can see if they would
I am not sure who is, but I can figure it out and I can get back to you on that.
All right. It's just something, if any college is interested, we do have, since we have already done it with some colleges, now we have a precedent and it's just so much easier to get the ball rolling once you have that done.
This is interesting stuff. Does anybody else have any questions, or is that it for today?
I had a question, Seema. Is there do you have a feel for in this particular audience, like which are the pathways that are of interest to you?
So I was looking, so that was a question that we asked on the form, and I could share that spreadsheet with you for the people that filled it out. We have very diverse interests, but from what I'm seeing just visually, cloud computing is probably the most common one chosen. And then after that, full stack and machine learning. But cloud computing has an overwhelming response.
I see. Okay. Yeah, there's just one question came in now from Kai that can we change your path after submitting the application? Yes, you can. So it's a bit painful to resubmit the whole thing. They don't have a type form, doesn't allow you to edit your response. You know what, since we are here talking, why don't you just tell me your, send me, maybe through SEMA, if you can just send me what you want to change in your application. But in general, if you want to change anything, the only way to do that, and we have it there in our FAQ, is you have to go in and just do another application, and we take the last application that you're doing. Hopefully nobody is doing more than 2, but if there is something that you really badly want to change, then you can either do the next application, or SEMA, thank you for offering to do that. If any of you have already applied and you want to change, you can just send it to SEMA, and I'll take it from her and put it into the spreadsheet where we are making all the teams and everything.
We have another question from Nanar.
Sure.
Hi, sorry, I had another quick question. I know that you mentioned that you have a little chat with the leads. If for some reason you don't think they're suited for a lead position, can they still participate as an applicant or just as a regular participant as one of the members of the teams? Or
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, if you want to be a lead, you will definitely, we would accept you as an applicant. Like, I don't see any reason why not to. In fact, the one way that I try to accommodate people who want to be leads, see, it's a kind of fine line between pushing you to pushing your boundaries versus setting you up for failure. We don't want to set you up for failure. At the same time, we want to keep pushing your boundaries, because you could do many other experiences throughout summer. There's so many good things you could do. What we want you to do over here is really give you the chance to try something beyond what is your current capability. So we are not, once in a while it has happened last time that I could see clearly that the person would not succeed as a lead. And at that time, options at that point. But yeah, I've just been in tech for 25 years. I know the pathways. Each one of the pathways are some bioinformatics I had to learn, but all the other pathways are all my areas of expertise. I know people, so just a chat is really enough to know what are, if I see that there is probably not going to be able to succeed as a lead, that's when we'd have offer you a different choice.
thank you.
Another question that I have, which I feel like might be beneficial to everyone here, is can you give, if you're allowed to share, like an example of a project in cloud computing, machine learning, and full stack that we're gonna, or if we are accepted into this program, what we would be working on?
It's in the projects there are level 1, 2, 3. The level 1 projects you can get to know in great detail by looking at the pathway hubs. The training that is going on is for the level 1 projects. So yeah, if you go, you will, in fact, I would highly recommend, even if you're very, very comfortable in that particular area, you don't need to, but otherwise I would highly recommend for you guys to visit the different pathway hubs to see what is happening. To answer your question, you asked cloud computing, machine learning, and full stack, correct? Full stack, let's start with that one because it's kind of different. The way we are, the work ready part of it, the product narrative, that the way we are trying to bring in is with the use of open source forum code called Discourse. So STEMAway itself is built on Discourse, and the Discourse is like a very, very popular code base. It was created by Jeff Atwood, who is also the creator of Stack Exchange. I'm sure as STEM students, all of you have at least heard the word Stack Exchange. So this is a guy who is really knows all of that stuff about forums. And what you do in this, the level 1 project in Discourse is that you're working on mainly the front end, so it's HTML, CSS, but a lot of JavaScript. Embedded JS is the framework they use. And you're creating a component for the Discourse code, which means that any community in Discourse can pick up your work. So that's the showcasing part of it. And if you were working on a level 2 project, then it would be an additional backend component, which makes it much more complex, and you have to know Ruby on Rails to some extent. Again, all the training is there on the Pathway Hubs. If you want to challenge yourself, go to level 2, you can definitely do that. You just need to do a little bit of preparation. The other way, other than the Pathway Hubs, again, on the platform, we have presentations done by the earlier teams. So that is another great way to know what are the projects. Level 1, we are going to repeat the projects that are there, plus do some additional projects. So cloud computing, hardware engineering, these are new pathways, but for all the other 4, you can at least see at level 1 what was done. In cloud computing, this is the AWS one. We are creating what we call a data science portal, which is built on AWS with the help of AWS credits and mentors. And in short, what that is doing is it's giving an opportunity to use data science tools without having to know the entire AWS infrastructure. So to create an account on AWS and set yourself up to really use one of the machine learning tools, like which work at scale, is not easy. So what this data science portal is doing is we are hiding some of those, abstracting away some of those really complex stuff so that you can jump to the problem that in machine learning, if you're dealing with so much data and you're working with, you want to get to know how to use some of the tools that are used, you could use it by participating in these projects, you'd get to learn those tools. Machine learning, there are different flavors. One big flavor is the natural language processing. One of our STEMAway mentors is an expert in that. So that's one of the big project focus. And last time, different teams, what I was talking about, the fact that the projects are not fully defined, teams can decide to go different ways. So some of them, we set some examples like the recommender, NLP-based forum recommender was the one that we had as the base example, but some people decided to do tag annotation with active learning. It just made the project much, much more interesting. So we have around 5 suggestions. You can pick up from any of those, and our mentors can help you run through any of them. This time I was talking to the Discourse people to see, one big thing that we try to do is give you breadth, meaning that you get to know the different fields, because that is one thing that can really help you. I'm not talking about a job now, but like 5 years or maybe 10 years into your careers, that is what really keeps helping you not just go to the next level, but really find the work interesting. So the focus in machine learning, for example, the way it is going to combine with hardware engineering is the hardware engineering track is based on Xilinx FPGAs. And so some of the machine learning teams will work on, if they choose that particular combination, they will learn what is hardware acceleration. So some of the model, like when you're executing, instead of executing in the cloud, you'd actually execute on the FPGAs. So you'd learn the hardware acceleration part of it, and you'd learn the machine learning part of it. A level 3 project we have is combining machine learning and bioinformatics. So bioinformatics, I didn't see a whole lot of applications from San Jose State from bioinformatics, but I do believe you have a pretty strong bioinformatics department as well, right? It's also a very interesting field, and the cross domain of bioinformatics and machine learning is where there's a lot of work being done. So we have some projects in that area as well. So again, we have very strong mentors on the bioinformatics side, very well established pathways. And so that's one of the projects as well. I think I touched upon each one of the areas you said, but did you need to know a little bit more detail about any of the projects? I could do a deeper dive into any particular one that you guys are interested in.
I have looked at the projects myself, so I don't have any specific questions. Does the audience have any specific questions about a certain pathway? Feel free to ask. Any question is an okay question. And I believe a few people messaged me about the application. That should be the application. Is that the correct link? Because I know there was one link that you updated for the application.
I think if you go to STEMAway.com/apply, like we have, initially everything was forum based and some people were having it, finding it a bit difficult to navigate. Ultimately, you have to get used to the forum. That's one thing, that you have to get used to the forum, because your certificates that you get at the end of the internship are directly linked to self-assessments that you're doing along the way, and all of that is forum based. And the back end of the forum, like we have for companies to come in, they can search using skills and what you have done. So all of that, it's just a forum. You guys are STEM students, or even if you're not STEM students, you're San Jose State students, it's just a forum. You can get used to it. We probably will add a few training modules to help you get familiar with all the different ones. But just, I know it's a bit confusing to jump right in. So we have been putting the layers on top of the website, and STEMAway.com/apply, the one that Jezebel just shared, is one of those kind of static pages, which will tell you a whole lot of information.
Perfect. I think we also linked it to our Google form. The top description of our Google form has the direct link.
Thank you. There's a question from Paul. How do I assess which level should I apply for? And that's the one that I was saying, embedded in the application form is kind of a quiz, and that's entirely for you to assess your level. So don't worry about the results. We are not looking at the results when we are selecting anyone, because in fact, we don't want all the top like experts to be working together, because you're not challenging yourself in it. But we want you to make the right decision, because you shouldn't be totally clueless and then pick level 2, right? The chance of success is not high. You should then train yourself and pick level 1. So if you go through the application form, the quiz, at the end of it, it will tell you, like, based on what answers you got, like what you're saying is your level of experience with each one of the skills, it'll recommend a particular level for you. Again, to be taken with a grain of salt, it's an automated program looking at just the answers and with the threshold it is supporting. But what it really does well is, by even reading this question as to what the skills are that you need for these projects, you can get a very good idea for which level you should be applying for.
These are some great questions. Yeah, I think that's all from my end. Does anybody else have any questions? This was really insightful. Thank you so much for spending your time with us on a Monday.
Absolutely. I've been to San Jose State many times, right? Local, and mainly some related to my kids' activities, like your FRC is there and things with, yeah, it's, last time we didn't have any local colleges, and this time I said, okay, no, I really want at least one local college too. I mean, there were people who had applied from both Berkeley and UC Santa Cruz. We had quite a few people, but I didn't really get the time to do much outreach last time. It expanded more than we had planned for. So last time was a bit of a lot of dynamic rethinking on our parts. Many of the things that we wanted to do last time but couldn't quite get around to doing is the one-click resume didn't quite get ready in time, but this time we almost have it ready. So whatever you're doing, the demo days and the company part of it, if you guys are interested to participate in those, all of that is getting ready. The other thing we are doing is, this is actually a good, I should have answered this when you asked me about the people who are working full-time, whether they can do. I did get a few other requests. Sorry, it's totally skipped my mind. So based on that, we are putting in another flavor, which was not there last time, which is, we'll break up this internship into like 7 or 8 modules. And you can choose to, if your main and goal is to learn from this internship, you can do those modules separately, independently. So you're not working as a team, but what we're going to do is, like, our STEMAway mentor, let's take machine learning as an example. So Colin is one of our mentors. He, by the way, is a data scientist at Harvard Medical. So he's doing it as a part-time thing. So most of our mentors are that way. They are freelancers who are working in that particular field, are very interested in teaching, and so they're in summer they're doing this as an additional thing. And even now they're working with me, like we're doing the project definitions and things. So we are going to break up these modules, and let's say like Colin is giving an NLP related webinar. You could register for just that part. So you will learn the NLP part of it. You might do some small project, and you will get to see how the teams are using that in their full projects. That is the special part of it, which you would probably not find in an NLP video on YouTube, which is how do you, do like the small things you can, the amount of learning resources out there is immense. But what is different about STEMAway is in the context of the projects. So even when we are breaking it up, and if you want to apply for any of these modules, you still have to apply, because when people are on a webinar, we want to know who is there. It's just like the level of questions and everything changes. So it's not fully open. You have to apply just like you're applying for the internships. But over there is no time commitment. You pick and choose which modules work for you. You can even do some from the June session, some from the July session. So pick whatever works for you. And when the teams are presenting, you're kind of in an observational role for the internships at that time.
Got it. Yeah, that's definitely really beneficial for everyone who wants to learn the different concepts.
We got a lot of questions from actually people who just want to have this opportunity to learn in a setting like this. So that's one of the things that it just skipped my mind when you asked the first question about whether you're still welcome to do it as an internship, but if you think you cannot do it, that is the other alternative that you can use.
Yeah, that helps a lot of us, because a lot of these things aren't taught in school. So that's definitely exciting.
Even a simple thing like GitHub. So people, all of you may know a little bit, anyone on the software side, you may know Git. But after you do that webinar with Colin, where he talks about how to really use it in a team setting, it's like a totally different thing. There's a question from Tanvi. Do we need a resume to apply? No, we are not looking at resumes. We are, for the leads, I might ask you if I'm not quite sure what your technical background is. But again, not asking for resumes at this point. Maybe next year when we have the one-click resume, we may put in a component so that our own hiring solution we can use to parse those resumes. But at this point, no, it's open to everyone.
I think that it's almost 7 o'clock and we don't want to hold you for any longer. Do we have any last questions, last minute questions? If you guys have any questions and you email me probably by Wednesday, I can compile it and also send it over to her because I have her contact information. So that is always something you could do. If you have me on Discord, you can message me on that as well. Me or Jezebel, either of us. We're open. We have Develina's contact, so we'll be more than happy to ask any questions you guys have.
Yeah, and if you can do it sooner than later, it's better. I just have so much things, like right now I'm thinking about you guys. So when you write to me, I will reply, but sometimes it just gets buried in emails. So if possible, if we can kind of wrap it up within the next week, I will definitely send an answer to you guys. If there are a lot of questions, maybe I will just have a meeting with you two, Jezebel and Seema, and it's easier for me to just do a short meeting and answer the questions rather than type out the answers for each one.
Yeah, most definitely. That's why we're recording the meeting as well, in case somebody wants to respond. And also, I don't think it was mentioned, but the application deadline is the 31st of March. So,
Right.
yeah, just for everyone else that's applying.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right. Pleasure meeting all of you. Hope to see you on the platform.
Thank you so
Very
much for coming and stopping by. We're really excited to work with you. So
I'm excited to have you guys. It's just working with students. It gives me so much pleasure. I can't tell you. I'm still a bit industry oriented, but this is the way that I did a compromise between being partly working with students, but still being in an industry environment. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's gone already.
Thanks, SCE, for hosting.
Thank you, Tommy, for coming.
I had my pizza right next to me the whole time and I didn't eat any.
Oh my god, the struggle.
Self-control.
hungry
Oh
now.
my god, wait, I'm still
Honestly.
recording.